muchachos? Again, happy Hispanic Heritage Month, and before the end of the month, we are talking about a milestone, a groundbreaking Tony-nominated work that was adapted into a film written and directed by its own playwright, Luis Valdez, from 1981, Zoot. Released by Universal Pictures in partnership with the Mark Taper Forum and Center Theater Group, where the play originated in LA. Groundbreaking in every word, folks, for the first real time, bringing the Hispanic life, specifically Chicano culture, to the forefront. Made by Hispanics, starring Luis's own brother and musical director and composer, Daniel Valdez, as Henry Reina, reprising the role he originated, a Mexican-American living in the barrios of 1940s LA, right at the backdrop of the Zoot Suit riots. Riot! I love that song. Anyway, and World War II. He just so happens to be a Pachuco gangster, whom is accused and thrown in jail with no evidence for killing a man. Same as his other Chicano friends. We see how his life could have been different, as he was about to join the Navy. But at this time, what choice did he have but to take up the Zoot Suit? Our narrator, El Pachuco, played unbelievably brilliantly by Edward James Olmos, also reprising his Tony-nominated performance from Broadway, guides us through it all and acts as Henry's conscience.
The cops ain't got nothing on me and you know it.
You're Henry Reina, carnal. Hank Reina. The Zoot Suitor.
Through Chicano musical numbers, combining the aspect of putting on a show for a massive audience, breaking the fourth wall, creating a whole wild and thrilling musical experience. To really appreciate the film, mi amigos, I think you need to read the play, which I happen to have read it in college. And if you're lucky, see some scenes from it, if not a full production. I unfortunately haven't seen a full live production of it on stage yet, but my college mates have done a few scenes from it that were wonderful. So I personally feel just a tad bias about my love for the piece. On paper, it's such a powerful play. And to see a work like this come to life by a whole creative team of Hispanics around the time of 1978, which hadn't really occurred before, was huge. So the play was destined to be adapted into a film. But who knew? Its own playwright. It's always fascinating when that opportunity comes because you wonder about their skill set of adapting their play for screen, a whole different medium, let alone working the camera. And for Luis Valdez, luckily he had experience with some short films. And this was a major project, given such a grand Gene Kelly level scale, which is beautiful. The opening dance number is choreographed wonderfully, as all the numbers are. But I'm not really a fan of incorporating an audience aspect, such as literally staging the show in a theater with audiences coming in and getting their reactions. I'd rather use us, the actual movie theater goers, as the audience, and El Pachuco can keep doing what he's doing and speaking to us through the camera lens. Because then it gets a little distracting when we pop back to the audience within the film watching the show, who are supposed to be us.
Come on! It's an affront to good taste.
Like the Mexican, the Filipino, and the black who wear it.
Looks just as ridiculous on the white kid.
You mean the wops and the Jews?
Hey, look, sport, be honest. You guys weren't even wearing clothes when the white man pulled you out of the jungle. If a uniform is what you want, join the goddamn army.
Why?
Maybe it was their way to increase audiences to go see the play or to see the movie. I don't know. The film is shot very well, considering DP David Myers only really does rock and roll concert films and documentaries, so we can say he definitely handled the musical numbers effectively. The performances are great, with Daniel Valdez giving great honesty, frickin' Tyne Daly in here as an eager lawyer looking to save Henry and his friends from the death penalty.
Are you aware you're in here because some big shot up in San Simeon wants to sell a few papers?
Tough as nails and spicy like Valentina hot sauce, which is so good. And we have great little cameos from LUPE ONTIVEROS, legend in cinema, as Henry's mama. John Anderson, classic actor who's been in everything, as the judge. And then the great Tony PLANA as Rudy, Henry's brother, also reprising his role from Broadway, giving a vulnerable performance. But once again, there is Edward James Olmos in all of his majesty, playing the hell out of El Pachuco. Without a doubt, he is the most captivating and alluring character within the play. And it's amazing how cool and solid he plays him.
Forget the war overseas, carnal. Your war's on the home front.
Olmos was always greeted by some artists about his amazing ability of incorporating kabuki theater in his performance, which wasn't intentional. He just naturally picked it up, and it speaks so perfectly for the cool, sly, and yet visceral gangster conscience. Every hand motion and movement is so purposeful and rhythmically steady. The writing itself is still very moving and powerful.
You know what your problem is, Hank? You can't stand yourself, and you can't stand me telling you.
Shut up, is it?
San Quilmas was made for self-victimizing suckers like you, Hank. Underneath that big, tough bullshit exterior you put on's a little snot-nosed Mexican kid.
Shut up.
Begging for the gringos' attention.
Shut up.
You turned yourself into a target, ese. A willing victim of the pinchy races, and they threw your ass in prison for life.
Shut up!
But the sad thing is, again, that you feel it gets lost in the theatrics. There's a great middle chunk that really slows the pacing for some odd reason. And when it picks up musically, we get the engine back on track, which is a shame because there's so much poetry and power in the writing, bringing focus to how Chicanos have been treated during this time of the 40s, the 70s, and well, look at even right now. Luis and Daniel actually worked in the Cesar Chavez mission to unionize farm workers, and then formed El Teatro Campesino, a farm workers theater troupe. So political theater was something very strong in Valdez's soul. That one particular true story about Henry Levas, a Zoot suitor, was wrongfully convicted of first-degree murder, which was then publicized as the Sleepy Lagoon trial, became the main inspiration for this moving piece of work. The film was not quite the success they'd hoped for, but with a modest budget of a big musical drama like this, of $2.7 million, it gratefully made its budget back. However, critics were more than unkind to it at the time. It did receive a Golden Globe nomination for Best Musical/Comedy, which I think it deserved. Certainly, Edward James Olmos deserved more recognition, but to this day, it retains its power for theater students and definitely is a beautiful experiment, an entrancing display and celebration of Hispanic culture, despite its shortcomings of pacing. On that note, my friends, I give Luis Valdez's film of Zoot Suit a B. The film was actually entered into the National Film Registry in 2019 for its cultural and aesthetic significance, which it completely deserves, and it created a great opportunity for both Luis and Daniel to work on the terrific biopic of La Bamba with Lou Diamond Phillips, Daniel musically directing and Luis directing. But now, Chicanos, what do you think of Zoot Suit? Have you seen it? Let me know in the comments, and like and share with everybody. Subscribe if you haven't already. I thank you kindly for watching and your support. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, ese.
And that's a perfect way to end this play. Happy ending, y todo. But life ain't that way, Hank.